It's another amazing new week. Good morning to you. This is Atlantic Television Network and the program is Atlantic Blowout. Atlantic Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network that features chit-chats and conversations on special interest topics, on news, events and stories through correspondence reports, expert opinion and stakeholders analysis. Around Nigeria today that will interest you definitely. First of all, we have a story coming from Lagos State. This is a sad one. We have reports that 3 people died as oil tanker actually ran into 10 vehicles. And then on KMS, Dangote is free to sell directly to marketers. A statement by NNPC. On state creation, you are well. This is still a bill. The Anioma people are uniting for their own state. All right. And then on fuel scarcity, Nigerians at breaking point. NLC, Atiku, and other Nigerians have won. And on insecurity, eliminate stereotypes in farmer headers conflict. Governor Kefas has told media men. And then on battery, don't legitimize criminal behavior. Nothing else has stated. We'll go on a short break. After that, we'll let you know who our guest is. Please don't go anywhere.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on-spot news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
And we are back. Thank you so much for standing by. We have with us in the studio Ambassador Ekie Ekie. He is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Ambassador.
My pleasure. We want Nigeria to get better.
Exactly.
So keep doing what we can do.
All right. So one of those things you can do is what? Talking.
A whole lot apart from contributing on how Nigeria can get better.
Okay, so we won't focus on the lots now. If not, you might spend an hour telling us how much you can do. But let's look at Lagos State. Tragedy struck in the early hours of Sunday as 3 persons were confirmed dead, with others sustaining injuries when an oil tanker rammed into 10 vehicles in Maryland axis of Lagos. Now, confirming the tragic incident, the head of the Public Affairs Analyst, Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, Nosa Okumbo, disclosed this in a statement on Sunday. He noted that the first accident occurred when a diesel-laden tanker experienced a brake failure and rammed into several vehicles, resulting of 3 persons and injuring an unspecified number of others. Okumbo narrated that upon the LASEMA the scene around 1 a.m. They described another crash involving a containerized truck that had collided with a Mack truck, leading the container truck driver with a leg injury. Emergency responders were able to secure the area and implement critical safety and traffic control measures, which led to the temporary closure of the road and the bridge. All right, this is, I don't want us to begin to see stories like this as a norm. No. Or even though we see this or we hear this over and over again in our society, but it's important we talk about it and also get to look at the solutions, possible solutions to matters like this. Ambassador.
Well, it's quite unfortunate for the loss of the people who were affected by the brake failure, according to the tanker. Again, what we always wonder, let me also thank the last mile people who were apt to respond to the situation. Unlike some of the states where that kind of incident, particularly that time that it happened, it would have lingered, it would cause traffic, this one, they were...
For days.
Yes, they are responsible, and I want to commend such kind of gesture and encourage that other state traffic units should borrow a leaf from the Lagos last month's prompt response to issues of this kind. Most times, this issue of truck drivers, it has become a continual desma, and I think it's high time for the road safety or the government to look into the activities of these truck drivers. How do I mean? From experience, I've had an instance where a truck driver, early hours of the morning, had to, smash my car, or I don't know the best word to use, but part of my car was vandalized while I was on police checkpoint. Instead of him to use his own lane, he had to use the same lane which is my own lane. And even noticing that that was the checkpoint, that police were there, he never slowed down. He kept on marching. And then, so after he collided with my car, the part of it, he went on. So it was police who now said, okay, reverse. They hop into my car, and then we chased him. Only for us to get to where he was, and then he slowed down. So when he came down, he said he didn't know there was any kind of accident, that it was his conductor who now informed him that it seems to hit a car. And upon our interaction with him, he was highly,
intoxicated.
Yes, the smell in his mouth was full of alcohol, that early hours of the morning. So it's buttressed the fact that most of them are into, I don't want to say drunkenness, into high level of alcohol. And I think there should be a kind of measure to checkmate these activities. And even those who engage them in services should be able to advise them. It's not all about the profit making. It's not all about the speed to deliver the goods and the services. But it's about the if your business does not matter to you, the lives that they are taking innocently should be considered. So I think that there should be a periodic check, like I talked about, psychiatric tests, even for these truck drivers, because their activities are becoming quite uncivil.
Is it just for truck drivers now, or drivers in general?
Well, let us, because since it's the case study anyway, that's why I'm emphatic about the truck drivers. So, but there should be once in a while a periodic orientation, reorientation, counsel, you know, because a man who is having pressure can suffer traumatic issues, and when he's on steering, he may be absent-minded. So I think we have, I know the society is, particularly Nigeria, is going through a lot right now. So it's also affecting the drivers. And I want to plead that no matter how the economy is, let us still value the sacredness of our own lives and the life of others out there, that our carelessness and our misbehavior can, you know, affect negatively. So I want to encourage that there should be a measure on truck drivers, since that's the focus for today, and there should be a kind of a psychiatric tests, you know, for most times, even if it is at some road safety point. It should not always just be. In fact, these guys don't even stop for
at road safety point.
Most times,
they check them.
Most times they don't even stop for road safety. The truth, because the road safety are not carrying weapons to, so they barely stop for them. So I feel that if there is a way that government can put up a measure, maybe a combined force, maybe with the safety, special squad, special monitoring. When they get to that point, they conduct that test for them, even if it's for 5 minutes.
Really?
Yes, life.
How viable do you think that will be?
It's possible. 5 minutes, 10 minutes is not.
How many truck drivers are you willing to pack?
No.
And test all of them
when
on the
it
road?
has to do with life, now that there is accident, how many hours will they spend?
How much traffic do you think that will cause?
Clear them. It's not going to be on blocking the road.
How many of them?
No, they don't come like 100 at a time. If the machine is active, in 10 minutes time you are done with the test.
What about just having like a routine check, like you said, but this time they come in somewhere and they get checked and they give them a certificate for that month or for that period?
No. You see, what they do most times, when they park, especially those of them that drive overnight, the place where they take a rest is place where they get toxicated and continue the next morning. Some of them drive overnight. So they believe that if you don't take alcohol, you can't really drive.
Okay, so the check you're talking about is to make sure that they are not intoxicated.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, just check to make sure they're not intoxicated.
Yeah, the level of their sanity. You know, when you do that psychiatric test, it's about sanity.
Okay.
So I think if they're able to do it every day, because if you do it monthly, they will know how to beat it.
Because when you say psychiatric test, that's broader.
Yeah, it's mental test.
You understand? Mental. It's not like I check your face and say, okay, your eyes are okay. We're talking about mental check here.
Yes, the mental check may not take more than minutes. I don't think so.
I don't know how you see mental checks.
No.
You mean like have a conversation with them to make sure that they are okay?
It's part of it.
Okay.
Yes. Like for me, the instance I gave to you, I could perceive the smell of the alcohol.
Okay.
And for you to hit a car
and not be aware,
and you are not aware, so which means you can kill someone on the road and never know that you have killed someone. You know,
there's people when they see truck drivers, right? When they see truck drivers, when they see tankers and the rest. The other day I was actually in a vehicle, I remember once, been a while, and then immediately my vehicle got close to a truck driver or a tanker, and everybody started screaming in the vehicle. You don't drive next to a tanker, that you know where.
Yes.
So there's this ideology that people have concerning these
as if they are abnormal people. So, and that's why we are feeling that there should be this check so that that abnormality can be corrected, because it's taking a whole lot of life, it's causing a whole lot of havoc. Like imagine 3 people, so many unnumbered people injured, right? And then vehicles are being vandalized. These are people's assets. These are people's means of livelihood. So one man carelessness. So we should not be looking at the time that they will, spend for this check. I think it's going to help us a lot, because most of these big fatal accidents are caused by truck drivers. And I think it's because most of them are intoxicated. You know, they take in, you know, things that are not too good for them while driving. So I think there should be
to think that they actually have an association.
Association of abnormal people?
No, not abnormal people now, tanker drivers.
Okay, when you say they have a association of tanker drivers, we do know. But the big question is, how possible? These are rules that they can't keep. Because majority of them believe that you must be intoxicated, you must be high before you can drive the truck, before you can drive at night, before you can drive well.
You know, when you talk about drivers feeling like they have to take something, they need to be under an influence to drive at night, this is like a general statement now. Not to deviate from tanker drivers, we're still talking about, but not to also leave drivers out of it. So this orientation should actually be for everybody. There are other drivers who do not drive these kind of vehicles, but a lot of times they are also intoxicated.
Yes, of course. Why I am emphatic about
no, it's fine that you're emphatic, because that's our focus. But it doesn't mean that we should take other drivers out of the picture.
I believe that So
do we then start stopping every driver on the road to check their mental health?
No, you see, most times, if you travel abroad, when you beat traffic, it's being seen as a psychiatric problem. Means that you have psychiatric problem, that maybe something is wrong with your mind. And they don't take it for lightly. Certainly, you will be taken to the place where they will check the sanity of your mind. Is that serious? You know, so if you drive recklessly, it's not about the fine you are going to pay, but they will subject you to that. You know, there was a time in Rivers State, I think it was Timarif, during the government of His Excellency Rotimi Amechi. I remember then that there's a way Timarif will accost you. They will subject you to psychiatric tests. And so many people were worried, they don't want to go to a psychiatric hospital, so they decided to calm down in their driving. So I think when measures are put in place that looks as if it's going to checkmate people, to check your sanity. They're taking me to a psychiatric home. It means it can affect me, you know, politically. It can affect me one way or the other. You see, people begin to be cautious. So these are things that are done, you know, in developing or developed countries. So I don't think stopping the truck drivers or drivers that are driving recklessly to check their sanity is a bad thing.
All right, we'll find out how viable that particular solution would be. But thank you so much. But let's look at one pressing issue in Nigeria currently, and that is the petrol. Fuel scarcity, price hike, whichever way you want to see it. Dangote refinery may resort to exporting its premium motor spirits following the refusal of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to be the sole buyer of its products. These are just speculations by some Nigerians, but let's go into the actual story now. The NNPC, in a statement by spokesman Olufemi Soneye, said on Saturday that it would not buy Dangote fuel unless it was cheaper than that of the international market. This is contrary to claims by the president of Dangote Group, Aliko Dangote, that the refinery was waiting for the NNPC to roll out its products. On Saturday, the NNPC stated that it would not fully offtake petrol from the refinery if the market prices of PMS were higher than the pump prices in Nigeria. Now, the NNPC also declared that Dangote and other domestic refineries were free to sell directly to any marketer on a willing buyer, willing seller basis, adding that it had no desire or intention to become the distributor for any entity in a free market environment. Now, the company was reacting to a press release by the Muslim Rights Concern, which claimed that Dangote Refinery was being undermined by the NNPC. Now, before we move on with the story, there were speculations where people were saying, oh, Dangote, it looks like Dangote is under the NNPC, because it looks like the NNPC are the ones actually reading out this conditions, and too many, the people felt like they had too much control over Dangote refinery. And that was actually one of the speculations by this report. That's the NNPC had to respond to. Now, and Dangote also had to respond to that. Now, responding, the NNPC said the pricing of petroleum products from any refinery, including Dangote Refineries Limited, is determined by global market forces. Okay, so there are different segments of this story. There are different sites that have been mentioned, down to speculations by people on the hold of NNPC on Dangote refineries, down to NNPC's reply, down to Dangote's reply, down to NNPC saying you can sell to any of the marketers that are willing to buy from you. How do you think that will impact the petroleum sector?
I have always said here that I will only be joyful if the production of, or the refining of crude from Dangote refinery, the PMS, becomes more affordable by Nigerians. That's only day I'll be joyful. That, oh, that now we have Dangote refinery working. Now you can begin to see why my fears was being raised, or is being raised, because if the Dangote is still going to sell NNPC or sell independent marketers with the price that they buy internationally from the international market, so the big question is, what is now the advantage? What is now so special in buying from the Dangote refinery? Is
that your fear? You said your fears. What were your fears?
My fear is, will the PMS, gotten from Dangote refinery, will it reduce the price of PMS, petrol, at the filling station where the common Nigerian man buys? From the 1,200 or 1,300, maybe now to 700 naira, or to 600 naira, or to 500 naira. If it has nothing to do with price reduction, it's as useless as the situation we are in. So we were clamoring, trusting that, oh, Dangote refinery is going to help reduce the price of PMS. That was what many Nigerians were expecting. And some of us understand that it may not be so. So people also feel that, which I thought or assume, that there should have been a clear understanding between the Dangote refinery, the federal government, and the NNPC. You
feel there's no clear understanding between them?
In terms of the transactions, or if it is partnership, or, of course, Dangote bought the crude. It was not given to them for free to refine for Nigerians. So there was a business transaction. They bought with the amount of money that NNPC could give to them. So my own is, I do not know how much they bought from NNPC, but all we were advocating and agitating is that at least Dangote is complaining that they don't have crude to refine, right? Please give them crude. Because all of us felt that it's going to be a way out for our petroleum challenge. So I want to encourage and request that there should be a good understanding with the, is it DPR, the people who are in charge of price, and then the NNPC, the Dangote, the independent marketers. Let there be an understanding, knowing fully well that Dangote is also going to make profit, but let his profit desire do not still cause Nigerians more pains.
So what do you have to say about Dangote's response? Remember that Dangote had said that the NNPC would have to decide when it comes to pricing. Theirs is just to make sure that the product is available.
No. It's a political or diplomatic statement. Dangote is not responsible for the price of PMS at the filling station. He's only responsible in the sale, the wholesale of that product. So how you now sell at your filling station is your sole responsibility. And that's why he's talking about the NNPC. Because NNPC, of course, they sell PMS. Dangote is not selling PMS at the filling station. So it's them that will determine the pricing that Nigerians have to, afford in getting this product.
With all of this back and forth with pricing, even before we are buying it, even before we're hearing that it's already bought, don't you see some underplay? Do you actually think that there's some underplay here? Do you think that this is someone trying to prepare the minds of Nigerians for what is coming?
No, you see, there is nothing new that will come that will take us unaware again as Nigerians. Because we are used to inflation. We are used to sudden changes. Because all we understand is that there are people who are in leadership, also in business, who have lost their conscience. They have lost, the love for their fellow humanity and the desire for wealth creation, in the desire of more money making. I want to plead and request that Dangote, as a businessman, as a company, and the NNPC should come up with an understanding. If I do not know, that's why I said I don't want to preempt. I do not know the rates for which the crude was sold to Dangote group of companies. But if there was a price reduction in the purchase of the crude from the NNPC first, because you cannot charge me high as a businessman in getting the product, and you now expect me to sell below price. So I think there is a good, grant for the NNPC to give the Aliko Dangote group of companies, the refinery, product on a subsidized price, on a reduced price. Because if Dangote is given on a more reduced price, Nigerians can now challenge Aliko Dangote. How come we have reduced the price of our product, right, to you, to enable you also now reduce the product for us to have?
So they should have an agreement. We reduce the price of crude oil, you give subsidy for your fuel.
Of course. So I think if that is being done, I believe that it will be more business, it should be a more better business deal, that Aliko Dangote now understands that there have been price reduction as far as selling this PMS to Nigerians. Of course, if he's exporting the PMS outside, he can sell at his price desire. But once it has to do with Nigeria that have given him this product on a reduced price, then he owes us that obligation to also sell us, that product on a reduced price, so that the NNPC and the independent marketers can also sell to Nigerians on a reduced price. So my request is that if that is not what is, on the transaction, because this is not the only time Dangote will need their crude. So in Dangote desire for crude, when they want, as they are purchasing, the NNPC, the federal government, should give a reduction waiver price for Dangote refinery to get these products on a reduced price. And then Dangote refinery too to have an agreement with the NNPC, with the federal government of Nigeria, that is giving them this reduction, to say, we are giving you this price so that you can sell PMS to us with this amount, to enable us give out to Nigerians on this subsidized price.
Now, the understanding we had previously was that the NNPC would be the only people buying. That's from Nigeria. Now, they'll buy from Dangote, and then we'll have the independent marketers buy from the NNPC. That was the understanding before now. But now with this statement by the NNPC, that has been clarified. So how do you think, what kind of effects do you think this would have in down to the pricing of petrol from fuel stations, which you have said should be one of the focus here when we talk about the common man, since the common man is involved. So how do you think that will actually affect pricing?
If the NNPC cannot afford it, the independent marketers may not be able to afford.
Why would you say the NNPC cannot afford?
Because the NNPC have told you here that if Dangote PMS is not better than the one they buy from the international market,
price, yes, if it's more expensive,
yes, they may not be compelled to buy. So that tells you there is a problem. And most of the independent marketers have bought their product from the NNPC, from the subsidized amount that the NNPC used to buy from the international market, and then reduce it to independent marketers here in Nigeria, who now add part of their profit. So if the NNPC cannot purchase the PMS from the Dangote refinery, it means the independent marketers cannot also purchase it. So the federal government to the NNPC have been doing a kind of subsidy for independent marketers to enable them have this product and sell to Nigerians. But if NNPC cannot afford, then independent marketers cannot afford.
That would even make Dangote reduce the price, don't you think?
No. Dangote has the capacity. He has already mentioned to you that if the NNPC is not buying, they will be forced to export this product to other countries that needs it.
It's not like they were not going to export the product before.
No.
What difference does it make?
If we can consume what Dangote is producing,
we can't even consume everything.
It's possible.
No, the refinery is not feeding only Nigeria. It's for West Africa.
We do not.
So we cannot say we consume everything that
No, you see, the intention, the primary focus is for Nigeria.
Primary focus is for sales.
You see,
Nigeria is not out of it because the refinery is here in Nigeria. Yes. But saying that he will export if we don't buy, he already had plans to export.
No. You see, if with our desire, nobody is saying that it should be limited. Like I said that if the product is given to Dangote refinery on a reduced price,
we heard that part.
That when he's selling to Nigeria, NNPC, he should sell it on a reduced price.
That's not the case now. So we're working with what the case is
now,
at the moment.
The challenge we are having, like I've made it clearly that Dangote refinery should reduce their price to enable the NNPC and independent marketers to be able to buy.
You just explained what I said earlier. I guess you probably didn't hear me. You said if the NNPC cannot buy from Dangote, how would the independent marketers want to buy? You understand? And I said if the NNPC and the independent marketers at the end of the day are not buying from Dangote, that might actually make him further reduce the price so that he can get the Nigerian market back.
No. That's on the compulsion aspect. His intention is to make profit.
He's a businessman.
No. You see, he's not telling you that he lacks market globally.
Exactly.
So if you cannot afford, they are already telling you that we will export this product.
Which was the initial plan.
So meaning that with or without you, the product will be sold. So if you do not want to patronize Dangote refinery product, other countries are willing to patronize.
Okay, so you don't think it will make him reduce the price in any way? It won't affect the price?
Yeah, not at all.
But okay, that's in a case where the NNPC cannot afford, like you have said, or do not want to buy because according to them, if it's more expensive inside than outside, we'll continue buying from outside. Now let's assume, that's on one side. Let's look at the other side. Let's assume it is something that the NNPC want to buy because the price is lower than what they get from outside. Follow me. Now, at that point, and we have the NNPC buying, we have independent marketers buying, how do you see that affecting pump price?
if it is now, if it's affordable.
Yes.
Once it is affordable, the pump price will naturally reduce. Why Nigerians are hailing the production and refining of Dangote products is because they now believe that the price rate or tag for the PMS is high.
What difference, now follow me,
I'm
difference will
following
it
you.
make if it's just the NNPC buying and then the marketers buying from the NNPC, right? If it's just NNPC getting petrol from Dangote and then marketers are getting from the NNPC, that's on one side. That's going to be different from where it's open to everybody. If it was open to just the NNPC now, which was the initial idea that we were given, now the NNPC has said anybody can buy. So what difference do you think that will make to the pump price?
I think maybe you need to understand my point. If NNPC says anybody can buy, it means that the price Dangote refinery will sell to NNPC is the same price they will sell to the independent marketers. And the independent marketers will be able to buy and still be able to sell maybe on a higher rate. Because now that subsidy where the federal government or the NNPC used to reduce for them, according to what the NNPC tells us, they buy with a particular amount and then they sell on a particular amount to independent marketers. So at this point now, it will be affected because Dangote refinery is still selling them on a higher amount, much more than what the NNPC used to buy from international market and give. So that's why we are saying that if the Dangote refinery reduces her price different from the global market, the international market where the NNPC used to buy, and then subsidize for independent marketers and to Nigerians. Hence, if the price of Aliko Dangote is what the NNPC used to buy in the international market, and the independent marketers now go and buy from Dangote, the price of PMS will increase higher. Are you getting my point? Because why? There is no longer subsidy that they are enjoying from NNPC through the federal government. So now they are going to buy from same price that the NNPC used to buy internationally, and then reduce the price for independent marketers so that they can afford, sell to Nigerians to afford. But now if Dangote is selling them at the price that NNPC used to buy from international market, how will the price of PMS come down? So that's why we are pleading that there should be an intentional understanding, an intentional, trade by barter, by saying that, okay, we'll give you this crude, right, on a discounted rate, so that when you finish refining, you will equally sell us this crude on a discounted rate. Is that correct? So at that point, that's the only way Nigerians can enjoy the blessing of the Dangote refinery.
All right, thank you for your recommendations. Let's look at the next story now. As part of efforts towards ensuring wider consultation of critical stakeholders, traditional rulers, community leaders, political leaders, opinion leaders, youth and women groups, civil society organizations, authenticating the voice of collective unity for the creation of a Nyoma state to drive progress and development in the region. Now, Nyoma people of Delta North Central District have called on President Ahmed Tinubu to give quick assent to the proposed bill as past second reading as Nyoma leaders pledge loyalty with the federal government of Nigeria. On Sunday, September 8, 2024, as part of the outcome of the communique that was reached by Nyoma people, traditional rulers, political leaders, youth, interest groups and other critical stakeholders during a one-day stakeholders summit that was held at Grand Hotel and on Saturday, Nyoma people, leaders and stakeholders during the summit had agreed to seek a separate state. While passing a vote of confidence on Delta North, Senator Ned Nwoko for purposeful, effective and efficient representation noted that the agitation is historical and it's older than Nigeria. Anyoma leaders have endorsed technical committee to drive the process of Anyoma state creation while pledging loyalty to the federal government of Nigeria, then called President Tinubu to use the avenue to pacify Anyoma people for their age-long oppression. So this will be like a means of pacifying the people for their age-long oppression. If we go to the very last paragraph of that story, see where they talked about being marginalized, you know, as oppression, marginalization, and neglect by successive governments. Okay, I would like to get your thoughts on this as new state creation, talking about the Anyoma state.
Well, let me commend them for their unity of purpose and trying to seek a better welfare and development avenue for the Anyoma people.
Okay.
It's commendable. But for me, before any state should be created, I think the people who deserves, in my own understanding, even though I'm not from the southeast, is the southeast. The geopolitical zones that have 5 states as against the 6 that others have. Because for now, the zonal structuring of Nigeria recognizes southeast as a zone. The Anyoma people are of the south-south, which already have 6 states. So I want to believe that after the southeast people have been given 1 additional state to make it 6, if they're going to give Anyoma people their own state, which I am not against it, is what they desire. Any ethnic group that desires another state are free to agitate and advocate for it lawfully. There's nothing wrong about it. But on the fairness of the Nigeria that we have for now, the federated unit that we have for now, the southeast people and any other geopolitical zone that have 5 states are the people that deserves. If you ask me, on fairness and justice, the southeast should be given 1 additional state. And if you are creating any other state outside any of these geopolitical zones, for instance, the Anyoma people are within the south-south zone. So if you give Anyoma people their 1 state, you know, that is 6 states, 7 states for south-south, the southeast should be given another state to make it 7. The north-central, the northwest, the southwest, so that there will be even distribution of states. So I think that the Anyoma people are in the right step, in the right direction. They are trying to awaken the desire for more state creation, which is commendable. I like to commend their Senator Ned Nwoko. Is leading their people very well with what they have showcased and passed a vote of confidence on him. And one thing good about them is that they have followed this process in a lawful manner, you know, not going into violence. They have also pledged their support of to the federal government of Nigeria, not trying to disintegrate, you know. So I think it's commendable. But my own opinion is that for any ethnic group, for any tribe, for any zone to be given any further state, the southeast should be given their 1 additional state, because they are like a zone as every other zone in Nigeria is, so that the fairness and the justice can be seen from the southeast angle by the federal government.
They talks about these bills passing second reading. If this is passed into law and they are given a new state, and then you have already mentioned other geopolitical zones having 6 and then 1 having 5, how do you think this will affect the peace in Nigeria?
I do not know how the Anyoma people are able to pass this bill up to second reading when the southeast people are there, when other people from other geopolitical zones are there. I have my own senator and he knows that my people desire another state and he has not requested for state. So I want to commend the senator representing the Anioma people, Ned Nwoko. That's why I commended him. Because for you to successfully ensure the passage of a bill in the National Assembly, Senate, for second reading, I think is commendable and is applaudable. Mind you, bill going through second reading does not make it a law yet. Now, even if it goes through the third reading and Mr. President do not assent to it, it will not still be a bill. So I think that they have done well, and I'm aware that there are people in the Southeast who are also looking for additional states. So I'm only saying that the Southeast should be given the first consideration and the first priority before any other group. I'm not saying Anioma State should not be given, but before giving to them, give to Southeast people. That's the only way we can see fairness and justice in the federated country called Nigeria.
Back to the question now. Assuming this gets to, become a law, and it's assented and it passes all the reading, because it's in motion already. So assuming this happens, how do you see this affecting Nigeria?
Well, I think it's, if our leaders are in the Senate and National Assembly opens their eyes or close their eyes and it goes through the third reading, like I said, I'm not against the Anioma State. But I'm only saying that before it is given as the states, the Southeast people should have, first of all. However, the Anioma people are able to navigate and get it, kudos to them.
And then if they do, how will it affect us? What effect will it have on Nigeria?
Well, the policies and decisions of government is not the population or the common man. The citizens are not considered in most of the policies. So we may not be surprised if that's one of the policies that that they have claimed not to be sensitive about. So, but I feel that the National Assembly that we know, the senators that we know, are people who have gone through rank and files in leadership and in government. So if they so consider the Anioma State as superior or as of more priority to the Southeast, then let it be.
So you think the passage of this bill into law would be government's insensitivity?
Very, very. Very, very. Because I don't know what to speak as if maybe I'm against the Anioma people. I love the Anioma people. I commend their courage, their desire for development. But I'm always saying that for the sake of the unity of Nigeria, Southeast is already a recognized state, a zone. You have different ethnic groups in the Southeast now. You have the Olo people there. You have the Mbise people there, just like the way the Anioma people are in Delta State. But they are not asking for states.
No, they are complaining about being marginalized.
You see, there is nobody that is not marginalized in this country.
Really?
Every ethnic group is being marginalized. The marginalized.
That's a general statement.
No. Every group. If we talk about River State now, there are ethnic groups that will tell you that they have been marginalized because they have not been allowed to become governors of this state.
So you can say every ethnic group feels they are marginalized.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
now, that every ethnic group.
Because saying every ethnic group are marginalized, that's a general.
When I say are marginalized means that they feel marginalized. Before you run into a conclusion that they are marginalized, it's because you have seen their expressions that they feel marginalized. My own is that before a Anioma State is given, you can give it together with the Southeast one remaining states. I'm not against it because I have good friends from the Anioma State.
Is that why you're not against it? Because you have good friends?
It's a good desire. I'm a true Nigerian. It's a good desire. I love it.
Oh, you love it.
Let them give them. But my own is that before you give to them, give to the Southeast first. Why will you say that I am advocating for Southeast people? Am I from Southeast? The answer is no. But I feel that it's unfair and it's injustice to give other zones 6 states and then give them 5. It's not fair. So for whatever consideration that you must have used, I think if Anioma as an ethnic group we ask for a state, then Southeast is too big to be denied a state. So I feel that they should be given their extra remaining states. And of course, maybe my friend will become the governor of that state and life will get...
That's in Anyoma now?
Not Anyoma.
Oh.
The state in Southeast. Maybe that's why I'm advocating for that.
Okay, I see now. Do you see what I see? Let's move on to the next story. We have reports that Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar at the weekend warned that the increase in petrol price by the federal government has put most Nigerians at a breaking point. This came as human rights lawyer Mr. Femi Falana-Osan urged the federal government to ensure the completion of the rehabilitation of the nation's refineries by September 2024. Now listen to this. He has said they should ensure the completion of these refineries by September 2024, or they should take legal actions against the contractors for breaching that contract. This is even as the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project at SERAP also asked President Bola Tinubu to direct the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to immediately reverse the apparently illegal and unconstitutional hike in the pump price of petrol across its retail outlets. While the NLC asked Nigerians to revolt against the price hike, Atiku said the situation of the average Nigerian and the economy will be further compounded by plans by the government to increase value-added tax coming on the heels of the recent hike in petrol price. So the president of NLC, Joe Ajero, who was represented by the Deputy President, President General of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Prince Adewale, stated this at the 2024 annual workshop. Okay, so he's talking about the increase in VAT due to the increase in fuel price, and he's saying, let there be a change, let there be a reduction in the fuel price. And then concerning the refineries, I already laid emphasis on that while going through the stories. It's either you make it functional by September, which we're already in, or hold the contractors responsible.
Well, I think it's commendable advocacy. And I know last time we also condemned the desire for increment of VAT to 10%. And I said this insensitivity of such leadership, because Nigerians cannot be going through this kind of turmoil situation and you still want to add to their problems. I think it's wrong and it's condemnable, and I want to commend the former vice president for lending his voice on the issue of VAT increment. It is wrong, it is not right, it's not timely. No matter the revenue we want to generate from it, it is condemnable.
No matter the reason?
No matter the reason, it's not right, it's not the right time. That is, you must look at the welfare of your people. When you treat Nigerians as if they are strangers, that's when all of these obnoxious decisions can be taken serious. You know that the child in your house after graduation has no job. And then you are asking that child, that you have to provide this and that and that. Do you want that child to go and steal? So Nigerians are suffering. They are passing through hell right now. They want to get into heaven. And they are expecting His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, the NNPC, to enable them enter heaven on earth. And
is the President not already enabling Nigerians enter heaven on earth, like you put it?
How can you say so? On which premise? For right now, what is happening is leading Nigerians to hell and to remain in hell.
This is sounding very contrary to your previous statements here.
We see.
And that's why I actually brought that question to you.
You see, when the president does well, I commend and I will support what he has done well. When he has not done what is right, I will still condemn what he has done.
So what has the president done this time?
the issue of price, the issue of fuel price, the issue of course, the president have not consented or assented on the 10% VAT, of course, so I will not blame him right now. But I always say that on the issue of PMS, on the issue of VAT, why most time you look as if people push issues to the president is because he has the veto power to regulate most of these things, to call them to order. So at this point, we understand the scenario about the fuel. And that's why we are requesting, because sometimes governments are in a fix. Thank God for Dangote refinery, but provide this crude in a way that the production and the price rate for Dangote PMS sales to NNPC and to independent marketers will be affordable. The issue of fixing our refinery is a good recommendation. Our refineries have started maintenance, repairs before Aliko Dangote began the building of his own. Now his own is working and our own is not still working, just maintenance and repair. So I feel that legal action can be taken as recommended by our elder statesman, Mr. Falona. So I think legal action can be taken, or the contract can be reviewed. But if Nigeria cannot manage the refinery, I think is either they privatize it or they lease it to a better hand that will manage this situation to help Nigerians survive. If you cannot do it, we have Nigerians, at least Dangote has shown us a lead that he can do it. We have so many businessmen in Nigeria that can do it. So if we cannot enable that refinery work, if we cannot fix it because of the bureaucracies in government, privatize it or lease it out. Because Nigerians need this product right now to survive. So it's not a question of privatization. The one you have been doing, we are not seeing result. So let us try another option. So I think I am in full support of the desire to take a legal action if the contractors handling the refineries do not meet up to their contract agreement. It's a breach of contract.
If Falana is actually saying that we should, hold them responsible, the contractors, one would want to ask why they haven't been held responsible all this while.
Well, the question is, I don't know whether you expect.
Do you know how many years we have had our refineries on the rehabilitation process? So how come up till now we haven't had stories of any contractor being held responsible for breaching contracts? Maybe
this is the time that we are feeling it much. And I do not expect any other person to initiate this process of legal action much more than our elder statesman who knows much about this issue, Mr. Falona, Femi Falona. So I want to believe that he knows what to do with his colleagues. They are the senior lawyers that we have. I don't think any younger lawyer can have the capacity to go about this thing, because challenging the contractors at the refinery may be challenging those who are the Ekwensus of Nigeria.
What do you mean?
When I mean the Ekwensus of Nigeria, it's not a language in the dictionary anyway. But those are the satanic forces who do not want Nigeria to get, better. So when you are challenging the demons in the land, corporate demons, you must be very, very strong and you must be very, very capable. So I think the people that can challenge these Ekwensus of Nigeria
are you taking it spiritual now? Because last we checked, we're looking at physical human beings.
When we talk about the Ekwensu, when we talk about Satan, Satan manifests through human beings. So we are talking about those whose character and conduct are like Satan. So that's why we are saying that if you must fight them, you must be someone that is able. And I know that our elder statesman, Mr. Femi Falana, is strong enough. And he has other likes that can join forces with him I know resources will not be a problem because our elder statesman Atiku Abubakar has enough resources to fund that legal process in case there is a challenge.
Now,
So
I already seen a light at the end of the tunnel
I
with
think that
one.
with the combination of NLC that we go on strike, that we protest and fight, the combinations of the lives of Femi Falana, the funding of Atiku Abubakar, and other stakeholders, you know, who have now come out openly that our refinery must work. I want to believe that if they are sincere and they put up these actions, not leaving to the wanters, those who are very small to take up this fight, they are the people who are strong. You know, they are the Ikembas, those who are very, very strong.
You are using a lot of languages.
Nigeria
no,
is,
but I like
Nigeria
the fact
has
that
a lot
you are
of
interpreting every language that you use. I like the fact that you're interpreting every language that you use.
Thank you.
All right, at this point, before Ambassador takes us to his village, let's go on a short break. And when we return, conversations will continue. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
good to know you're still with us. Let's delve straight to the next story. Governor of Taraba State, Dr. Abu Kefas, has tasked journalists to champion peaceful coexistence and remove stereotypes while reporting on herders farmers conflict. Kefas, speaking through his chief of staff, Dr. J.G. Williams, at an experience sharing dialogue organized by Search for Common Ground under the contribution to the migration of conflict over natural resources between farmer and herder communities project for select journalists in Taraba and Adamawa states over the weekend, acknowledged that the picture of the conflict over the years had been bleak. However, I noted that journalists can change the narrative for the good of both the farmers and the herders. According to him, as journalists, we are the ones who would project Nigeria and its various societies to the outside world. So he has asked we should emphasize mutual coexistence rather than discharging our duties in ways that would exacerbate division amongst farmers and herders. Him talking about journalists changing the narrative of how farmers and herders are seen, that's the conflict between them are seen by foreigners or people outside Nigeria. Do you think it's in the hand of the journalists to change the narrative?
Yeah, he's right to a reasonable extent that journalists spread information more than any person. And even if you speak, if the journalists are not ready to spread your information, it may be restricted, it may be limited. So I think that's the point he's trying to come from. Another thing again, let me also commend the Taraba State government for intentional desire for peaceful coexistence, because I think that's one of the things that we desire back again in the entire country as a nation. Because even the issue of farmers and herders, like I always say, that if not that maybe there is an intentional plan, you know, just to cause crisis. We grew up to see the herders, you know, moving their cows, and then when they want to become an obstacle to your movement, you see the little boy, the Fulani boy, or who is controlling that cow, will just say, Namakai. And you see that big cow begin to follow the direction of that instruction, Namakai, kai, and you see them, you know, conduct themselves, you know. So, and for now, we now begin to see the reverse. The cows will now go to people's farm, eat up their crops. It was never so before. So you now wonder what kind of herders we now have. Are they the real, you know, herders that appreciated, you know, relationship, partnership, you know, in doing their businesses? So it raises a lot of questions and suspicion. So I think the government of Taraba State is only trying to say, can we go back to the past? But the big question is, can we achieve the past again? You know, with the hatred, the wounds, and the pains in our heart. I believe it's something that forgiveness and intentional, you know, forgiveness, you know, can be achieved. If the herders are ready to forgive the farmers are ready to forgive the herders, despite the pains they've caused on each other, then I think it's achievable. I also want to raise some kind of worriedness that I hope the government of Taraba State is not in any way trying to encourage journalists to suppress the truths of what is happening or what is going to happen in Taraba State. Because I believe that where truth does not prevail, where the right information, which is the truth, is not conveyed, you will end up suppressing the people and you will not achieve the peace that you desire in the name of trying to get, you know, a better image, which means it's going to be lies that will be coming out from the journalists from Taraba State.
No, I was going to ask you that before you give your recommendations. I was going to ask you that because when you started your analysis and I asked you what he meant, if the journalists are the ones to change the narrative, you talked about journalists, you know, being the ones to carry the information. You know, thank God that you already clarified that, because anybody would think you're saying that the journalists are probably carrying information and putting it out there. Does it mean that we should not put the information out there?
Well, I believe that Nigerians are people who love to listen and listen to the end. So if anybody listening and didn't get to this point,
welcome to social media. You haven't seen blogs carry your story. That is why they would pick the first, and that's why sometimes when you make some kind of comment or guests make comments, we have to call your attention back to it for clarity, because we have different kinds of people and different sets and classes of people who are listening to what you are saying.
Well, of course, like I always say that right now everybody is a journalist. They sit down and begin to spread whatever they desire.
So that means even the governor of Taraba State is talking to everybody.
Yeah, or if he goes on social media, he's also spreading information.
You said everybody's a journalist.
No, when you see there are professional journalists.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
there are people who assume themselves in journalism by spreading information through their phones. That does not make them professional journalists or certified journalists. So I'm sure he's talking to the professional journalists.
But where should the focus really be on? Should the focus be on journalists carrying the story, or should it be on solving the problem?
No, you see, why government is making effort to solve the problem, they are trying to make their states investment friendly. That their state should not be put on the media for crisis alone. They are only trying to say that our state can be projected. Yes, we have crisis. Yes, we have the past. But let us not magnify our crisis, the herders and farmers crisis, above trying to magnify the need for peaceful coexistence, the need for dialogue, the need for peace. So I think that's just what the government of Taraba State is trying to appeal on, if I could read the other side. But I'm only saying that I hope that the intention is not for journalists to suppress the truth in the name of projecting the state for business investors to come in. Because if that is the desire, it will not be good for the benefit of the citizens of Taraba State. Let the truth be reported the way it should be reported, and let the areas that needs to be emphasized upon, which is the peaceful coexistence, the love for one another, religious tolerance, should also be promoted. So journalists are not, empowered or commissioned to now begin to suppress the truth as far as the issue of herders and farmers are concerned, because this is one sensitive area that borders the lives of the Tarabians, because they are mainly farmers. So if you suppress what is affecting them, then you are saying that you are an oppressive government. You are saying that you are a hypocritical government. You are saying that you are not the government for the people. And I know that the governor of Taraba State, Mr. Kefas, is a godly man, is a man who means well for the Tarabians, and I'm very much sure that he will not commission anybody to suppress what is immoral and what is not good for the Tarabians.
And you're very sure?
I believe so.
Okay.
While we watch.
All right, let's take our last story now. This is on banditry. Following reports about possible dialogue with bandits in the Northwest, the spokesman for the Northern Elders Forum, Abdulaziz Suleiman, has warned that the implications of such a peaceful building strategy should be considered before embracing it. He explained that should dialogue become an option, stakeholders should ensure that they do not inadequately or inadvertently legitimize criminal behavior or undermine the rule of law. The NEF mouthpiece, who said this in a chat with newsmen on Sunday, noted that negotiating with bandits terrorizing the region may potentially yield positive results. But this came on the heels of denial by the Zamfara state government that it had commenced dialogue with bandits with a huge amount of money allegedly earmarked for the exercise. It said money won't be paid to bandits, expressing commitment to the fight against banditry, kidnapping, and other forms of criminality. The secretary to the state government, Abubakar Nakwada, who said this in Gusau, the state capital, Gusau, noted that documents claiming it had commenced engagement with bandits and also paid huge sum of money were not only fake but mischievous, misleading, malicious, and false. All right, they have debunked this statement, but back to the let's go back to the part where they're talking about conversations, you know, dialogue, bringing them in and all of that. Just like some people have recommended it, some people have made reference to the amnesty, and some people have said, why don't we use the same approach for banditry? What are your thoughts?
I'm aware that there were times that the federal government has come up with amnesty. State government have come up with amnesty for the terrorists, the bandits. So it is not that it's new. But most of the times when these amnesties are given, you discover that the crime continues. So we cannot really completely understand or conclude what is the cause of this banditry, what is the cause of this terrorism. But I like to say that staying in Abuja because you are from that region or from that state that is affected, and then you begin to speak because you have not got a family member that is a victim, may be insensitive. Because we have situations where people have been kidnapped, and then up to today, the security operatives have not been able to produce them back to their members of their family. And the person who is condemning any kind of effort to bring back and stop this thing because money is involved have not been able to also do anything. So let us not be talking because we want to talk. Let us talk with the mindset that we are humans, and the victims of these bandits, the victims of this terrorism, are people's family members. They are people's loved ones. So any effort that government can put in place to ensure that those who are kidnapped, those who are into these practices stop, I think is commendable. So the issue of legalizing banditry, criminality in the name of paying ransom and all that, the ones that they have paid ransom and they did not also bring them out, what have you done? The ones that they are not able to pay ransom and they are still in the hands of the kidnappers, still in the hands of the bandit and the terrorists, what have you done? So I'm not subscribing that paying ransom is the order of the day, but I'm only saying that every mode of dialogue, one, I think what the government is trying to look into is to see how to reduce the remote cause of this thing. Is it joblessness? So let us see how we can engage them. If it is joblessness, let us think of what we can do for them, and so that this issue of this menace can stop. Like they talk about the issue of the Niger Delta amnesty issue. It didn't just end because they gave them amnesty. There was willingness of the Niger Delta, agitators then, if you want to call them militants, it's okay, to surrender and embrace the new dialogue opportunities given to them. Some were trained abroad, some, were given opportunity for survival. So, but in this case, there are some whom government have given these opportunities and they are not willing to accept. So the government have been making effort for these bandits, for these terrorists, those who are into these nefarious kidnappers, to surrender their nefarious activities, and it has not yielded result. So I want to feel that the issue of the Niger Delta people and these are brothers in the other side may not be really in the same comparison, because the Niger Delta agitators were willing to accept this dialogue. So there must be willingness, first of all, from these our brothers from this other side before it can yield results. So I want to thank and commend the government of the Zamfara state and other northern states that are willing to go into this dialogue, and the federal government should encourage them and support them. But my plea to anyone who is involved in this kind of activities, kidnapping, terrorism, banditry, and whatsoever, is that it is high time we let go. If there is other alternative for you to survive, I think you should embrace the dialogue opportunity so that our states, our communities, our country can become better again. You will not live forever. You will not enjoy the proceeds of these criminal activities forever. You will enjoy it peacefully and joyfully. You also have family members. If what you are doing right now is meted on your family member, I'm sure you will not be happy. Because if everybody wants to take to crime, to banditry, to terrorism, it means that you kidnap my brother today, tomorrow I kidnap your sister. You kill my brother today, tomorrow I kill your brother.
What about talks about it increasing the rate of criminality, where people would think that, okay, the highest that can happen is the government calling me in for dialogue?
No. You see, what we are saying is that there was a sincere agitation. That's why I say most people should not compare the agitations of the Niger Deltans during the struggle period with what is happening in the northern Nigeria. Yes, there was, oppression. There was feeling of marginalization. Of course, that was true. Because where you are generating these resources, we couldn't have good social amenities. Life was boring. The environment has been polluted.
I can imagine how different it is now.
Of course, that's why I said that there was willingness for our agitators to accept the amnesty. For them to say, okay, let us stop these fights. Let us now see how we use dialogue as a means of developing our region. And that's why we are trusting that those who are managers of our resources in the Niger Deltas should not fail us, so that we don't go back to those past times of agitations that are very brutal.
We appreciate your thoughts, your plea, your suggestions, and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And big thanks to you for being a part of this conversation. This is where we get to wrap things up on this episode of Atlantic Blowout, as much as we would like to continue, but time's no longer on our side. Remember to stay connected with us on all of our ATN socials on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network on Instagram, TikTok, we Atlantic TV Network 1, and on X, we are Atlantic TV. You can watch us live on our website at www.atlanticnetwork.tv. Peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you once again for watching. I am Eni Doye Jackson. Coming up next is Open Conversation. Please stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring honest pop news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.